Imagine a bond so intense, so all-consuming, that the boundaries between two individuals dissolve entirely. Imagine a connection that defies not only societal laws, but the very moral codes that govern human relationships. A union that transforms love, desire, and identity into something both shocking and strangely mesmerizing. In the forests of Oregon, over a century ago, such a bond existed. Two twins whose attachment was so profound that it led them to marry one another, defying the world around them and create a lineage of their own design. Their story is not merely one of scandal or horror. It is a window into the hidden recesses of the human psyche, into the shadowy depths of desire, identity, and the forces that drive us to construct our own realities. The relationship between the twins was unlike any ordinary familial connection, exhibiting a complexity that challenges our conventional understanding of human bonds. From the earliest stages of life, their attachment seemed to transcend the usual boundaries that define sibling relationships, hinting at a deeper, almost mystical intertwining of minds and hearts. It was as if each twin carried a mirror of the other within themselves, a reflection not only of appearance and voice, but of thought, emotion, and inner turmoil. Such an intense connection fosters a unique world of shared experiences and mutual understanding, one in which the inner life of one is inseparably entangled with the inner life of the other. The psychological implications of this bond are profound because it illuminates how early relational patterns can form not merely attachments of comfort and care, but attachments of identity itself, where the self begins to exist in symbiosis with another. Within this space, the twins' emotions, fears, and desires were communicated with a subtlety and immediacy that is almost impossible for outsiders to perceive. And yet, their shared world was tangible, shaping every choice they made and every path they would later take. This bond can be seen as a fusion of the conscious and unconscious desires within each twin, an intertwining that bypassed external morality and social expectation. While most siblings experience rivalry, competition, and a sense of separateness that defines individuality, these twins seem to operate in a continuous state of psychic overlap. Their connection was so profound that the usual distinctions between self and other appeared blurred, as if each carried an internalized version of the other that informed thought, action, and emotion. The intensity of such a bond suggests that early human attachments can develop into forces that are not merely nurturing but consuming, shaping the trajectory of personal development in ways that defy societal norms and expectations. The twins' relationship illustrates that within the human psyche, attachment is not simply about safety or affection. It can also become a mechanism for identity formation, where the self cannot be fully separated from the other. This entanglement can generate a sense of invulnerability, a belief that together they exist as a singular entity, immune to the judgments and laws of the broader world. In addition, the bond reflects the presence of unconscious impulses, the hidden currents of desire and longing that exist beneath the surface of conscious awareness. These forces are not inherently destructive or immoral in themselves, but when left unchecked by the moderating influence of society and experience, they can shape choices in unexpected and transgressive ways. The twins' mutual fascination with each other, which gradually evolved into romantic and erotic attachment, represents the power of the unconscious to assert itself in the human experience. It also illuminates the shadow aspect of human desire, the parts of ourselves that society often demands we hide or deny. Within the private universe of the twins, there was no need for suppression. Their desires were normalized and reinforced by the constant, mirrored presence of the other. The intensity of their connection functioned both as a sanctuary and a catalyst, creating a private cosmos where traditional moral structures were irrelevant and the boundaries of what is permissible were drawn by their own psychic inclinations. Furthermore, this bond can be understood as a reflection of the human need for completeness, the search for a mirror in which one can recognize the self in its entirety. The twins' attachment speaks to a universal longing for understanding and validation, magnified to an extraordinary degree. In their relationship, the usual separations between individual identities were softened, allowing them to feel fully understood, fully seen, and fully mirrored in another. Such mirroring, while deeply comforting and intimate, can also become isolating, creating a closed system in which external reality is filtered, reshaped, or even ignored. This psychological phenomenon demonstrates how human bonds, when intensified beyond normal limits, can produce both profound connection and dangerous insularity. In their case, the bond was not merely emotional or relational, it was existential, defining the very contours of their inner lives and shaping the trajectories of their moral, social, and psychological development. Finally, the nature of the twins' bond serves as a lens through which to examine the tension between innate human impulses and societal constraints. While most human relationships are moderated by rules, taboos, and collective ethics, the twin connection operated independently of these norms, guided instead by the compelling forces of attachment, desire, and shared identity. It is a vivid example of how intimate relationships can reveal the hidden architecture of the mind, the ways in which early experiences, emotional interdependence, and unconscious drives combine to create patterns that are simultaneously natural and transgressive. The twins' relationship, in its intensity and defiance of convention, invites reflection on the powerful, often invisible threads that connect human beings, the unseen motives that drive attachment, and the extraordinary lengths to which individuals may go to preserve and honor the inner reality they share with another, regardless of societal expectations or ethical boundaries. The isolation that the twins experienced during their upbringing was a defining factor in the development of their unique psychological world. Removed from the influences, judgments, and constraints of the broader society, they existed within a sphere that allowed their connection to flourish unchecked and unexamined. In isolation, the ordinary moderating forces of socialization, norms, expectations, and the subtle pressures of communal life were largely absent. This vacuum created a fertile environment in which their intense emotional and psychological bond could grow without interruption, nurtured in secrecy and shielded from external scrutiny. The absence of external perspective meant that their inner world, their shared desires, and their evolving sense of identity remained unchallenged, creating a private reality that could diverge dramatically from conventional morality. In such conditions, what might have been fleeting impulses or suppressed desires in a more connected social environment became reinforced, validated, and magnified, solidifying into a pattern of behavior and thought that would later define their controversial choices. The secrecy of their environment also contributed to the development of a dual reality, one that existed publicly in accordance with societal expectations, and another privately governed by the twin bond. While outward appearances might have suggested ordinary sibling relationships, internally they were navigating a complex interplay of desire, attachment, and interdependence. The tension between these two worlds intensified their psychological experience, creating an ongoing negotiation between what could be expressed and what had to remain hidden. In this sense, secrecy was not merely a byproduct of circumstance, it became a defining feature of their lives, shaping the ways in which they perceived themselves and the limits of their possible actions. It also allowed them to create their own moral universe, one in which their unique bond was normalized and legitimized, unburdened by the disapproval or interference of others. In essence, their secrecy was a protective structure, allowing the unconscious desires that drove their connection to emerge and solidify without challenge, enabling the twins to inhabit a private cosmos where they were free to define their own reality. Moreover, isolation can intensify the human tendency to focus inward, heightening the intensity of relationships that exist within a limited sphere. With few alternative connections to dilute their attention, the twins' relationship became all-encompassing, absorbing the full spectrum of emotional energy that might otherwise have been distributed among a broader social network. Every shared glance, every whispered conversation, every private moment took on disproportionate significance, reinforcing the sense that their bond was central, essential, and irreplaceable. The intensity of attention and emotional investment allowed for a level of psychological fusion rarely seen outside of extreme circumstances. It was a fusion that blurred boundaries and fostered a sense of mutual dependency so profound that it eventually extended into domains normally governed by social taboos, illustrating how isolation can amplify latent desires and shape the course of human development in ways that may seem both inevitable and transgressive. In addition, isolation fosters a self-referential reality where beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors are validated internally rather than externally. For the twins, this meant that each idea or feeling was reinforced by the other, creating a feedback loop in which both individuals affirmed and normalized the private world they inhabited. In such conditions, even impulses that society would classify as forbidden or immoral can appear reasonable, natural, or even necessary. The twins' secrecy and seclusion enabled them to maintain this internal consistency, allowing their inner experiences to gain authority over external rules. Their private reality was thus not merely a refuge, but a formative space where the construction of their identity, morality, and understanding of love and attachment occurred without interference, producing a worldview that was entirely self-contained. This phenomenon highlights the profound psychological impact of isolation. It can serve as both a shield and a magnifier, protecting the individual while also intensifying the effects of internal drives and relational dynamics. Finally, the isolation and secrecy surrounding the twins' lives illuminate the interplay between human desire and environmental conditions. While their inner impulses may have existed regardless of circumstance, it was the particular conditions of seclusion that allowed these impulses to manifest fully and dominantly. The environment acted as both a stage and a cocoon, allowing them to explore, internalize, and enact desires that would have been constrained or discouraged in a broader social context. This dynamic demonstrates the delicate balance between internal drives and external pressures, and how the absence of the latter can allow the former to expand unchecked, reshaping identity, moral reasoning, and the nature of human connection itself. Within this secluded world, the twins were able to construct a reality that was intensely private, psychologically immersive, and ultimately transformative, reflecting the profound ways in which isolation and secrecy can shape the trajectory of human behavior and the unfolding of unconventional, even macabre, life narratives. The act of marriage between the twins was far more than a legal or social ritual. It functioned as a profound expression of psychological and symbolic transformation. By choosing to unite in matrimony, they were not simply formalizing a bond that already existed. They were externalizing an inner reality that had long been confined to secrecy, creating a tangible manifestation of their private world. Marriage, in this context, was both a declaration and an affirmation, a conscious ritual that made visible the invisible and gave shape to what had previously existed only in the hidden recesses of the psyche. It was a bridge between the internal and external, the private and the public, an act that transformed desire, attachment, and identity into a structured social fact. Yet the transformation was not solely external. The very act of marrying one another catalyzed changes in their self-perception, their understanding of love, and their conception of moral boundaries. Through this union, the twins were able to redefine themselves and the world around them, creating a personal order in which their relationship was no longer illicit or hidden but ratified, ritualized, and immortalized in the form of a legal and symbolic institution. Marriage in this instance can be understood as a form of psychological alchemy in which the raw, primal, and often socially forbidden energies of desire and attachment are converted into a structured, legitimized, and enduring form. By performing the ritual of matrimony, the twins transformed what might have been considered an anomalous or taboo attachment into a socially codified entity, a transformation that allowed them to inhabit their private reality with a sense of permanence and authority. It is as if the ritual of marriage acted as a symbolic transmutation, converting intense, inwardly felt emotions into an external reality that could be witnessed, recorded, and perpetuated. The psychological significance of this transformation lies in the way it legitimizes inner experience, granting authority to feelings and desires that had previously existed outside the bounds of recognition. In this sense, marriage is not merely a social contract, but an act of self-creation, a deliberate attempt to reconcile inner truth with outward expression, even when that truth challenges conventional norms and moral frameworks. Moreover, the act of marriage between the twins can be seen as a confrontation with societal limits and taboos. By entering into a union that was culturally and legally controversial, they were asserting autonomy over their own lives and choices, prioritizing the inner reality of their bond over external judgment or censure. This defiance highlights the power of the human psyche to construct alternative moral universes, spaces in which personal truth and desire supersede collective expectation. In choosing to marry, the twins were not merely seeking social recognition. They were enacting a deeper psychological imperative to affirm their existence and validate the intensity of their connection. The marriage becomes a stage on which the unconscious desires that had shaped their bond were brought into conscious acknowledgement, a ritual performance that integrates the shadow aspects of the self into the visible world. In addition, the creation of this marital bond represents the human drive to ritualize and structure experience, even in the most unconventional circumstances. Ritual serves a powerful psychological function. It transforms chaos into order, emotion into action, and personal reality into something comprehensible and enduring. For the twins, marriage was a way of organizing their lives around the central axis of their bond, providing a framework within which their shared desires could be recognized, sustained, and given continuity. It allowed them to construct a narrative in which their connection was not merely tolerated, but sanctified, imbuing their relationship with purpose, meaning, and legitimacy in their own eyes. The marriage therefore functioned simultaneously as a psychological anchor and a declaration of autonomy, binding the inner world of experience to an external form that could endure across time and circumstance. Finally, the act of marriage and the transformation it enacted extend beyond personal significance to touch on the broader human themes of identity, morality, and legacy. By formalizing their union, the twins demonstrated the capacity of individuals to redefine the boundaries of social and moral order, to construct a reality that is consistent with inner truth rather than external expectation. Their marriage symbolizes the tension between societal constraint and personal desire, the negotiation between inherited moral codes, and the need for self-determination. It reflects the profound human impulse to assert autonomy, to convert private experience into tangible action, and to craft an existence that aligns with the deepest layers of the self. In their act of marriage, the twins did not simply unite as partners. They enacted a transformation of identity, a reconfiguration of morality, and the creation of a new psychological and symbolic reality in which the boundaries between inner truth and outward life were redefined. The union thus becomes a mirror of the human capacity for self-invention, a testament to the transformative power of ritualized action, and an enduring example of how extraordinary bonds can challenge and reshape the very structures of social and personal existence. The twins' decision to have children and establish a lineage represents one of the most striking aspects of their story, a deliberate effort to translate a deeply personal and unconventional bond into tangible, enduring reality. The act of creating life together can be seen as both a continuation of their own intense connection and a projection of that connection into the future, ensuring that their unique union would leave a lasting imprint on the world. In essence, the creation of a dynasty was not merely biological but profoundly symbolic, reflecting the human drive to leave behind a trace of existence that carries meaning, continuity, and significance beyond the immediate present. For the twins, offspring were more than descendants. They were extensions of the psychic and emotional world that they had meticulously constructed together, living embodiments of the private reality they had so carefully nurtured. This process of legacy creation demonstrates how the human psyche often seeks permanence in the face of impermanence. Life itself is fragile, ephemeral, and subject to forces beyond individual control. Yet through procreation and the establishment of a family line, individuals attempt to transcend these limitations, projecting their essence into the future. For the twins, the act of having children was a natural extension of the transformative power of their union. By bringing new life into the world, they were asserting the validity and continuity of their bond, translating an intimate, secretive reality into a tangible, social one. This act exemplifies the profound human impulse to connect personal meaning with broader temporal structures, to ensure that private truths are preserved and perpetuated through tangible expressions that endure beyond individual lifetimes. The creation of a dynasty also illuminates the interplay between personal desire and societal perception. While the twins' relationship challenged conventional moral frameworks, the act of producing children offered a socially recognizable avenue through which their union could manifest in the external world. Offspring provide a bridge between the private and public, the forbidden and the accepted, by situating a deeply unconventional relationship within the recognizable continuity of family life. In a sense, the dynasty served as both a shield and a testament, allowing their bond to exist in a form that was externally verifiable, even if the underlying circumstances remained socially and morally contentious. This dynamic underscores the human need to anchor intangible inner experiences within the observable world, to create evidence of existence, continuity, and purpose through acts that extend beyond mere private affirmation. Moreover, the creation of a family and the establishment of a dynasty reflect a complex interplay between the conscious and unconscious dimensions of human experience. At one level, it was a practical act, producing descendants and extending biological lineage. Yet at a deeper psychological level, it functioned as an enactment of inner desires for permanence, immortality, and validation. The twins' union and the children that resulted from it can be seen as a symbolic resolution of deep psychological needs to externalize the bond that had defined their inner world, to assert authority over their own lives and choices, and to create continuity that anchors their private reality in a form that transcends their individual existence. The offspring were therefore not merely extensions of the body, but extensions of identity, relational meaning, and psychological legacy, serving as living embodiments of the extraordinary fusion that had defined the twins' lives. Additionally, the dynasty they created serves as a profound lens for exploring the human confrontation with taboo, morality, and legacy. While their choices were shocking and transgressive, the act of procreation transforms a private, forbidden bond into a socially consequential one, forcing observers to grapple with questions of inheritance, responsibility, and the intersection between personal desire and communal consequence. The dynasty becomes a canvas upon which the consequences of extreme intimacy, secrecy, and defiance of convention are played out, illustrating how deeply private actions ripple outward into the social and temporal fabric. In this sense, the establishment of a family line is not only an act of creation, but also a psychological and symbolic negotiation between the inner world and the external reality, between individual impulse and the broader currents of society. Finally, the creation of a dynasty underscores the universal human drive to construct meaning through the extension of life and influence. It reveals the interplay between love, desire, and the quest for continuity, demonstrating that even the most unconventional relationships are motivated by familiar psychological imperatives: the need to be remembered, the desire to leave a trace of existence, and the aspiration to embed oneself within the ongoing flow of life. By establishing their own lineage, the twins transformed what was initially an intensely personal and private bond into a legacy with tangible presence and enduring consequences, a reflection of the extraordinary ways in which the human psyche seeks to assert permanence, continuity, and significance in a world defined by uncertainty, transience, and limitation. The dynasty, therefore, becomes more than a historical curiosity. It stands as a testament to the intricate interplay between desire, creativity, and the human drive to leave a mark upon both the inner and outer worlds, a reminder that legacy is as much a psychological and symbolic endeavor as it is a biological one. The story of the twins is a vivid illustration of the tension that exists between the compelling forces of human desire and the rigid structures of societal expectation. From the earliest stages of life, the twins were bound together by an intense connection that was both emotional and psychological, one that evolved into a union that defied conventional moral frameworks. Yet, even as their attachment deepened and intensified, they were acutely aware of the norms, taboos, and prohibitions that governed the society around them. This awareness created a constant tension between their inner world and the external moral universe, a conflict that illuminates one of the most enduring dynamics in human experience: the struggle between instinctual impulses and the rules imposed by culture, law, and communal expectation. The twins' choices, shocking to observers and morally provocative, were a direct expression of this inner conflict, revealing how deeply personal desire can collide with the collective conscience, forcing individuals to navigate a precarious terrain between authenticity and transgression. The tension between social norms and inner urges is not simply a matter of law or custom. It is fundamentally psychological. Human beings carry within themselves a constellation of drives, instincts, and impulses that arise from deep-seated biological and emotional needs. These impulses often operate independently of rational thought or social convention, seeking expression in ways that can sometimes contradict external rules. In the case of the twins, their bond, initially rooted in familial affection, became charged with romantic and sexual energy, a natural evolution of desire that conflicted with the rigid prohibitions of their time. The strength of these inner urges was amplified by their isolation, creating a private world in which societal constraints had little influence, and the norms of the external world became abstract, distant, and negotiable. Their union thus exemplifies the power of the unconscious to assert itself, demonstrating how deeply ingrained drives can shape behavior in ways that challenge the foundations of social order. Moreover, this conflict highlights the psychological mechanisms by which individuals reconcile or rationalize behaviors that contravene societal norms. The twins' decision to marry each other can be understood as both an assertion of personal autonomy and a symbolic resolution of the tension between inner desire and external prohibition. By creating their own moral framework, one in which their attachment was not merely acceptable but sacred, they were able to integrate the demands of their internal world with the reality of living in society. This process reflects a broader human tendency to negotiate moral boundaries, to construct justifications, narratives, and rituals that reconcile the often divergent demands of the unconscious and the conscious, of personal truth and collective expectation. In their case, the act of marriage and the creation of a dynasty were not simply practical choices, but deliberate strategies to assert the primacy of internal drives over external dictates, to shape the social consequences of their behavior in alignment with the psychic reality they inhabited. The conflict between social norms and inner urges also exposes the fragility of moral and legal structures when confronted with the complexity of human desire. Laws and conventions are designed to regulate behavior and maintain social cohesion, yet they are necessarily external and generalized, incapable of accounting for the full depth and variability of human emotion. The twins' story demonstrates that when powerful internal drives collide with these structures, extraordinary behaviors can emerge, challenging observers to confront the limits of moral judgment and the ambiguities inherent in ethical reasoning. Their actions provoke both horror and fascination precisely because they reveal the vulnerability of social norms in the face of intense, deeply rooted psychological forces, reminding us that the structures we rely on to maintain order are contingent upon the cooperation of the individual psyche, which may at times operate according to entirely different principles. Furthermore, this tension reflects a universal aspect of the human experience: the ongoing negotiation between instinct and culture, desire and duty, self-interest and collective responsibility. In every society, individuals encounter impulses that, if expressed without constraint, would contradict prevailing norms, and the ability to manage, suppress, or redirect these impulses is central to both personal and social functioning. The twins' extraordinary bond and the choices it produced represent an extreme manifestation of this dynamic, revealing the ways in which profound attachment, love, and desire can drive behavior beyond the limits of accepted morality. It also illuminates the psychological cost of living in opposition to social norms, as individuals must navigate guilt, secrecy, and the tension between internal truth and external condemnation, creating a landscape of inner conflict that shapes identity, relationships, and moral reasoning. Finally, the conflict between social norms and inner urges in the twins' story underscores the profound power of desire to redefine reality itself. Their actions challenge conventional distinctions between right and wrong, legal and illegal, natural and unnatural, forcing us to consider the extent to which human behavior is governed by internal necessity rather than external imposition. By acting in accordance with their own urges, the twins reveal the capacity of the human psyche to assert its own rules, to create moral and emotional universes that operate independently of societal judgment, and to transform private reality into a form of lived experience that reshapes the very fabric of existence. This conflict, therefore, is not merely historical or anecdotal. It is emblematic of the enduring tension at the heart of the human condition, a testament to the struggle between the powerful forces within us and the structures imposed upon us, and a reminder that the deepest truths of human nature often lie beyond the reach of convention, law, and collective understanding. The macabre case of the twins who married each other and created their own dynasty holds a depth of psychological symbolism that extends far beyond the literal events of their lives. At its core, the story serves as a mirror into the human psyche, revealing the hidden, shadowed layers of desire, identity, and moral imagination. Their union, shocking and transgressive by social standards, operates symbolically as a confrontation with the forbidden and the repressed aspects of human consciousness. Within the intensity of their bond, we find the manifestation of archetypal forces, the tension between attachment and individuality, the pull of forbidden desire, and the drive to create continuity and meaning even in circumstances that defy conventional logic. The twins' choices are not merely historical anomalies. They function as a reflection of universal psychological themes, revealing the ways in which deeply buried impulses can surface, shape action, and redefine the boundaries of what is possible in human relationships. One of the most striking symbolic dimensions of this case is the representation of duality and unity. The twins themselves embody two complementary yet inseparable halves, a living manifestation of the human search for completeness through the union with another. This duality is both literal and metaphorical. Their physical resemblance, mirrored thought patterns, and shared experiences amplify the sense of internal fusion, reflecting the universal psychological aspiration to reconcile opposites within the self. Their decision to formalize their bond through marriage externalizes this inner psychological reality, transforming a private, unconscious alignment into a public act. The symbolism here is profound. It illustrates the human desire to bridge internal conflicts, to make tangible the invisible threads of connection that bind people together, and to assert the continuity of identity and relational meaning, even when confronted with societal prohibitions. The twins' relationship thus becomes a symbolic canvas upon which the struggle for wholeness, integration, and the recognition of inner truth is vividly enacted. Furthermore, the case exemplifies the symbolism of transgression and the shadow. The shadow represents the hidden, often socially unacceptable impulses that reside in every individual, impulses that are normally suppressed or denied. In the twins, these impulses were magnified and rendered visible through their intense attachment, their marriage, and their creation of a lineage. The story exposes the powerful forces that exist in the human mind when societal norms and external expectations are absent or ignored, illustrating how repressed desires can manifest in extraordinary ways. By confronting taboos and acting upon impulses deemed morally or socially unacceptable, the twins illuminate the psychological necessity of acknowledging the shadow, the consequences of ignoring it, and the creative as well as destructive potential that lies within these hidden layers. Their lives symbolize the tension inherent in every human psyche between the socially sanctioned self and the private, instinctual self, demonstrating the ways in which inner truths, when unacknowledged or denied, can demand expression in forms that shock, unsettle, and challenge conventional morality. The creation of a dynasty further amplifies the symbolic resonance of this case. The twins' deliberate act of producing offspring serves as a metaphor for the human drive to extend the self, to create continuity, and to leave a mark upon the world. Their lineage is a living testament to the fusion of desire, identity, and purpose, illustrating the profound psychological need to render internal realities external, tangible, and enduring. Symbolically, the dynasty represents more than biological continuity. It embodies the projection of inner psychological forces into the world, the transformation of private passion into lasting influence, and the assertion of personal truth over societal limitation. Through this act, the twins transform the macabre into the meaningful, the forbidden into the enduring, highlighting the human capacity to find order, significance, and permanence in even the most unconventional circumstances. Moreover, the case serves as a symbolic exploration of morality and its relativity. The twins' actions challenge rigid ethical structures, demonstrating that morality is often a construct imposed upon deeply complex psychological realities. Their choices force us to consider the ways in which societal norms interact with human nature, illuminating the friction between collective expectation and personal truth. Psychologically, the story symbolizes the universal human struggle to reconcile desire, identity, and ethical responsibility, revealing that what is considered transgressive in one context may represent profound authenticity in another. In this light, the twins' narrative becomes a parable for the human confrontation with ethical ambiguity, illustrating the intricate ways in which morality, instinct, and relational truth intertwine within the psyche. Finally, the psychological symbolism of the case extends to the exploration of isolation, secrecy, and inner worlds. The twins' secluded existence, their hidden desires, and the construction of a private reality all symbolize the human tendency to create inner universes that reflect unconscious drives and personal truths. These inner worlds, while deeply intimate, also carry the potential for both creation and destruction, demonstrating the transformative power of the psyche when it operates beyond the limits imposed by society. The story thus functions as a mirror of human complexity, revealing the extraordinary ways in which internal landscapes can shape external reality, and the profound psychological truths that emerge when individuals act in alignment with the deepest currents of their being. In this sense, the twins' lives are not merely historical curiosity, but a rich tapestry of symbols, reflecting the universal human struggles with desire, identity, morality, and legacy, and providing a haunting insight into the depths of the human mind.